Today, we're diving into a really personal story. It's about transformation and how one single moment, one prayer, ended up changing absolutely everything.
It's a tough question, isn't it? I think a lot of us have been there. You feel like you're speaking into the void, just hoping for some kind of sign, any answer at all. Well, that feeling is exactly where our story begins today, and it might feel pretty familiar to you.
So, let me introduce you to a guy named David. And look, he's not some historical figure or a celebrity. He's just a normal guy who was feeling totally and completely crushed by life.
For David, life had become this relentless cycle. The grind at his job was just nonstop. It took all of his time, all of his energy, and left him feeling completely drained day after day.
And you know, after all that hard work, you'd think you'd have something to show for it, but the financial stress was just suffocating. He was barely making ends meet, and that constant worry of an almost empty bank account was just always hanging over him.
It all kind of came to a head one night. You know those moments? His job was on the line, bills were piling up, and the sheer weight of it all just felt like too much to handle. He'd hit rock bottom.
And in that moment, in that total desperation, sitting all by himself in the dark, David did something he hadn't done in a very, very long time. He prayed. And that was it. That was the whole prayer. 9 simple words. It wasn't eloquent, it wasn't long, and it definitely wasn't some perfectly rehearsed speech. But it was raw, it was honest, and it came straight from his heart. It was completely 100% real. And you know, this really gets to the core of the whole story. So often we get hung up on trying to find the right things to say, the perfect words. But what this story shows us is that the power isn't in the perfection of our words, it's in the sincerity of our hearts. It's about being honest. So David falls asleep that night, probably not expecting much of anything to change. But the next morning? Well, the next morning brought a shift that was so sudden and so dramatic, it was almost unbelievable. I mean, just look at how fast this all happened. The very next morning, he gets a call out of the blue from an old friend he hadn't talked to in years. That one call leads to an interview, and within a single week, just 1 week, he had a new job offer. The connection between that simple prayer and what happened next felt undeniable. Now, getting that job was, of course, a huge lifeline, a massive relief. But that's not where the story ends. Because it turns out the deepest, most profound change that David went through, it wasn't about the job at all. Sure. The new job fixed his money problems, but seeing his prayer answered so directly and so quickly, that sparked something way deeper inside him. He had this incredible realization. God hadn't been ignoring him. He'd just been waiting for him. This verse from Proverbs really became his new foundation. It's this idea about trusting a higher power with your efforts, and in doing so, your path starts to become clear. For David, this wasn't just some nice idea anymore. He'd actually lived it. So, the biggest takeaway for him was this. Sincere prayer isn't a performance for an audience, it's a real, honest connection. And that understanding completely changed his life. He started a new habit of praying every single day. But this story, it isn't really just about David, is it? It's about a feeling we all know, that feeling of struggle, and the idea that there's always a possibility for hope. Maybe David's story really hits home for you right now. Maybe you're the one feeling exhausted or worried about the future or just lost and not sure which way to go. You might be in a place that feels a lot like where he was that night. If that's you, just remember this. The message from David's experience is one of incredible hope. It's that even the smallest act of faith can open doors you never thought possible. Because there is still a power out there that listens, that moves, and that changes lives. So that brings us to one last little thought. It's an invitation, really. A chance to maybe try what David did, no matter what you believe. What if you just tried? Because as David's story shows us, you honestly never know. A simple, honest prayer whispered in the dark. It could be the one thing that turns it all around. It really might just change everything.